Annyeonghaseyo. Hi guys. Just wanted to jump on here and almost at the suggestion of one of my buddies, Steve Stover, um, kind of fill everybody in on the trip that I had to Korea. I know I was obviously bombarding a lot of people's timelines with posts and updates while I was over there, but I've been back for a month now, which is crazy to think about because it seems like just yesterday I was there. So I thought this would be a good opportunity again, not only to be able to kind of share the story that I had, but also for a personal record of mine, just so I could have it on video or have a record of it for in the future while it's still fresh in my mind. Obviously, it's going to be a trip I never forget, but to be able to kind of regurgitate it while it's still fresh, I thought probably was the best idea. And like I said, I've been back for about a month now, and honestly, I really haven't got to talk to a whole lot of people about the trip in any sort of detail. Really, only a small group of people have heard, the story of my trip. But and to those people, I apologize because every time I told the story, it's been about a 2 hour long story. I haven't come up with a succinct way of telling it yet in any sort of detail, but anything short of 2 hours on this is an accomplishment for me. So, like I said, I've been back for about a month now, and my life has changed drastically just since I've been home. So it all kind of ties together, I think, with what my plans are now and in my life, and it's just very very weird timing, and I think I'm still caught up with the emotion and the feelings of the trip, the people I met over there, and so I just wanted to kind of share that with you guys. So again, for those of you that didn't know or don't know, I was adopted from South Korea when I was just a couple months old. Raised in Ohio and kind of grown up here my entire life. And then just a couple years ago, I'm going to introduce kind of the key characters of my journey over there. Just a couple years ago, is in Cincinnati went out with my friend Tram, and we went out to the bar and met some of her friends down in Cincinnati, and met this guy named Tommy. We kind of hit it off, started talking, and just throughout our conversation, learned that we were both adopted from Korea. And growing up in Dayton, Ohio, that wasn't something that was very common, or as far as people to run into, acquaintances to run into another adoptee, let alone someone that's adopted from Korea. So Tommy and I, we kind of got to talking, and one of the nicest guys I've ever met. He kind of put a little thought in my head about going back to Korea. I'm 31 now, and I never thought about going back, or I never thought it was a possibility. In high school, my best friend Hibner, we always talked about going back one day, and he was going to learn Korean, and we were going to go over there and land in Seoul, the fifth largest city in the world, and we were going to find my biological parents. But that was a high school thought, that we were throwing together. But I met Tommy, and he had actually, been back to Korea a few times. Stayed in touch with his orphanage, and stayed in touch with an organization and a welcome home program that he told me about. And he kind of, like I said, put that idea in my head. And this was a couple of years ago. And when he first brought the idea to my attention, again, it was something I never thought about, a journey I never thought about taking. But, he asked me, he's like, if I can get you on this trip, would you be interested in going? So, of course, I said, yeah. Probably had maybe one too many drinks at the time. So I was quick to say yes, but he was like, great. He's like, one of my best friends, her name's Shinhei, and again, she'll be one of the crucial figures of this trip too. She's the director of this program, SWS program. It's a welcome home program specifically for Korean adoptees, and if I can get you on this trip, would you go? And, I said yes. And he's like, all right, they're going to leave in 4 weeks, I think was the time frame. I didn't have a whole lot of time to get ready to go. And, just the time frame of it didn't work out for me. So no harm, no foul. Again, I never thought about going back. So, it wasn't, it wasn't going to work out. So we got phone numbers, and Tommy and I, we didn't really talk much. I think an occasional text, but the following year, I'm sitting at home, and my phone lights up, and I have a text from Tommy, and the text above it was a year prior to that, and just said, "Hey Ben, it's Tommy Kays. I promise you I'd keep you in the loop about the SWS Welcome Home trip." And I just wanted to let you know that my friend Shanae, she's no longer with the program. The funding's not there this year, so there's not going to be a trip. But I just wanted to keep you in the loop. So again, no harm, no foul. I hadn't really thought about or even tried to pursue going back at that point. So that was fine. So this past May, again, sitting in my room, and my phone lights up, and I get another annual text from Tommy, but this one was, "Hey Ben, long time no talk. How have you been? Would you still be interested in going to Korea?" And of course, I replied back and said yes, and then me being the cynical person I am, kind of was expecting the response to be, "Okay, they leave in 3 weeks for this trip, and I wasn't going to have time to make arrangements." But he said that Shinhei was back with SWS. There was going to be a Welcome Home Program this year. And then, again, like I said, I was waiting for the time frame to not line up. But he's like, they're going to go at the end of August, mid to late August. And at that point in time, like I said, it was early May. So I had 3.5 months to prepare myself and get ready, and I told him, yeah, I want to throw my hat in the ring and see if I can be considered to go on and join the program. So Tommy, again, was super helpful and informative and connecting me with Shinhei and the whole Welcome Home program. So he actually connected me to her, and we shot some emails back and forth. I filled out the application, sent a couple emails, and then the next thing I know, I got this email back that I was accepted to go back to this or participate in this Welcome Home program. So that's when it really became real, and I had about at this point 2.5, 3 months to prepare myself to go on this trip. So I had my passport ready. I was ready to go, but I had, again, never thought about going back. So I guess to my, to I guess prepare myself as much as I could for the trip. The one thing I could do and control was to try to understand the culture, and to do that, the first thing I thought of was going on YouTube and watching travel vlogs or Wikipedia in Korea, and seeing what I could find out for myself. But so I got on there and kind of saw other people's trips, and kind of saw the culture from a third person perspective, behind somebody else's camera, but didn't really get any sort of connection or attachment that way. So I just kind of went on with my life until the trip became closer, and and at the beginning of August, really started to get anxious because the trip was coming into fruition. We had a Facebook page. I was going to be on this trip with 7 other adoptees, and we were going to be matched up with 8 buddies. And again, more crucial people to the trip, obviously, but our buddies were college age, native, bilingual kids. And again, I'm 31. I call them kids because they are. But these people were absolutely amazing in the trip and such a crucial part, and especially Hishin, Ashley, hello, just amazing and um, such a great tie to Korea, and being I've said it before. She was Ashley specifically. My buddy was my eyes, ears, and heart the entire time I was over there. So prior to the trip, we had a Facebook group. We all kind of threw our pictures on there, typed a little intro about me, and just so we could all put a name to a face and read something about everybody. There's a couple adoptees that were going to be there from Sweden, Germany, and then obviously a couple from the States. So 8 total adoptees. We're going to meet up with 8 buddies when we got over there. And then our buddies obviously introduced themselves, and we just kind of started the conversation there. But I guess coming up on the trip, I had a buddy from high school, Matt Reynolds. He's been over in Seoul in South Korea for 7 years. I didn't even realize, but he's been teaching English over there. He became a absolutely fantastic resource for me to ask questions to. I randomly bombarded him with questions out of nowhere, but he was he was amazing in replying and suggesting things. And I'm sorry, Matt, that we didn't get to meet up before I got over while you were in the States, but you were super helpful and informative, and answering any questions that I had. So I do appreciate that. But so I kind of asked, Matt. I was reaching out to Tommy, and then Ashley and I. We had started our back and forth. Probably a couple weeks before I went over. So the trip was it started on August 21st. It's supposed to be a week long, but I got over there 2 days before the trip technically officially started, and then left a day after the trip officially ended. So, my idea of going over there, I wasn't intending, or the implication wasn't for me to go over there and meet my biological parents, because I never thought about that. I didn't really start the process of looking for them until probably about 6 weeks before I went over. So I thought it was a very long shot that I'd even be able to find them. And then, from my perspective, I was adopted when I was 4 months old. I can't obviously communicate if I did happen to find them. I wasn't sure what to expect. So I wasn't going over there with that as the expectation, because, I felt like if I did, then there'd be a good chance I'd be disappointed. So, my idea of the trip, or what I wanted to accomplish, was, to go over there and see the culture, and, see what my life could have been like, and see what it could have, looked like, and felt like, and tasted like, and, just kind of experience everything over there, and then return home with a whole new outlook, appreciation, and, have a different view on life, look at life through a different lens. And I definitely have, but that was my implication. So, I'm getting ready to go on this trip, and I'm kind of I'm excited, I'm anxious, and I'm nervous. But obviously having this group chat with 7 other people that are going over there for the first time, and then getting to talk to our buddies, and specifically Ashley, definitely helped calm the nerves a little bit, and made it a lot easier for at least me to go over there and be a little loose, and not so uptight. But I think for me, the idea again was to just come back here with a completely different outlook, and an appreciation on everything that I think I take for granted. So my trip was, I was going to leave Columbus August 19th, and fly to Detroit, and then go from Detroit to Seoul. And I never thought about it till I think the day that I left. But the last time that I was at the Detroit airport was when my parents came to pick me up from when I was adopted. So the last time I was there was 31 years ago when my parents brought me home, and here I am going to Detroit on my way to Seoul. So it was just that was one of the things that kind of rocked me a little bit, and kind of shook me up a little bit too. But got to Detroit. I'm waiting in line to board the plane, and there's 300 people that are all Korean speaking, and it's very, very surreal to get on this plane and have that be the demographic of that was on this plane. But got on the plane and buckled up and watched a couple movies. Couldn't sleep the entire 13 and a half hour flight, but was just so anxious. I just wanted to get there. Just wanted to finally touch down and see what it was all about. So I got there on Friday afternoon, Friday evening, I guess. When I officially landed was Friday evening Saturday evening in Seoul, and landed at ICN. Go get my bags, and as soon as I land and as soon as I get off the plane, I really started freaking out because I wasn't sure who was picking me up or what I was supposed to do when I got there. So I got on Wi-Fi, got in our little group Facebook group, and started messaging people to see what was going on or who was going to meet me and what the plan was. So Hee-jung was there and nice enough to come pick me up. But once I got through, and again, coming from somewhere like Dayton, Columbus even, and going to Seoul is just, I didn't realize how big it was. Obviously, I knew it was a large city, but until you get there, you don't know how big it is. And I remember walking out the gate, and I kind of walked out behind a group of people, and there's just a sea of people, waiting to pick up people that were arriving at the airport. So, I'd never met Hee-jung, so I didn't know where to look. She was literally standing there with a sign with my name on it, but I didn't see her, so I just kind of, for some reason, had the audacity or the bravado, I guess, to just start walking around ICN, and decided to go get a coffee and sit there until I could find get a response of who was supposed to pick me up. But she eventually met me, and we hugged, and that was the first person I really officially met in South Korea. I think at that point it's probably about 8 o'clock, and we were at gate C, and when I was talking to her, she said that one of the other adoptees, Alyssa, from New York, was also going to be arriving, right around there, 8:30, 8:40, something like that. So, she thought we could, wait for her. And obviously, that wouldn't be an issue for me. So we waited for Alyssa to arrive, and I think she actually kind of got off her plane a little bit quicker than I did. So when she joined us, she grabbed her Wi-Fi egg, got some cash, currency exchange, and then it was, again, it was Saturday night, and the program didn't start till Monday, so Alyssa and I were going to be put at the SWS guest house, which was just basically obviously an organization-sponsored housing that they have for adoptees that we were going to stay in until the program started on Monday, and we could check into the hotel. So the guest house was about an hour away from ICN, and Alyssa and I think just from the Facebook messages that are the bios that we posted on the page, I think her and I were probably the most similar in maybe our upbringing. I think we're the closest in age. She's 30, I'm 31, and I think we just kind of had the most similar background or upbringing. So we kind of clicked right away. I just saw her when I was in New York 2 weeks ago, and we just got along right away. We were kind of on the same page, and the fact that she got there and we kind of arrived at the same time. We just kind of clicked right away. So we go and we put our bags in this van, and we have a driver that's going to take us to the guest house after we get off the plane. And to me at least, this could have been anybody. We could have gotten a van with a serial killer. Nobody would have known. I just would have thrown my bags in the van and gotten in anyway. But we didn't know any better. But get in the van, and we drive through Seoul. And for me, again, coming from the Midwest, where there's no real big infrastructure, grand architecture, anything like that. Just driving through, I remember just driving through Seoul and approaching it, and just being in awe of the buildings, and just the city lit up. It's something that I'm not used to seeing. Alyssa, coming from New York, I'm sure it was just seeing buildings like that so quotidian for her that it probably didn't impress her at all. But to me, it was just it was amazing. I was amazed by just the first initial sight that I had when I got over there. So we drive through, we get to the guest house, and there was someone there to give us keys, and we go to our rooms, and the first thing we do when we get in, at least for my room, I get in there, and again, it's late August, it's probably 95 degrees outside. I walked into my little 2-bed, 1-bath room, and it was probably 100 degrees in my room. And I go over and lift up the door to the AC, and of course it's all in Korean, and there's no red or blue on the dial for me to try to guess of how I could possibly try to cool this room down. So I think I did every different combination of knob turning that I could, and finally got just the fan to turn on. I don't even think it was blowing out cold air, but it was at least blowing out air. So I was literally dripping with sweat, I think, about 5 minutes after I got to my room. But Alyssa and I, we decided, it's at this point around 10:30 p.m. So our bodies are on 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, and we weren't tired, and we needed to eat. So we cleaned up, and we just kind of decided we were just going to go walk around and find a place to eat. Right outside of our guest house, literally right out the front door, there was a restaurant right across the street. And Alyssa and I think Alyssa, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't remember if it was the first night or second night, but we tried to go in, and we couldn't figure out how to open the door. You had to push a button to slide the door open, but we thought it was closed. We just kind of walked from restaurant to restaurant until we found one, and we discovered a fried chicken place. And I found out right away that Korean fried chicken is a million times better than fried chicken in the States. But the good thing about this place was not only could we see inside and see people inside the restaurant, so we knew they were open, but they had English on the window too. So we go in, and Alyssa and I, we sit down, and neither one of us, I think combined, we knew about 2.5 words of Korean. I think we knew enough to be able to say hello and get a seat, but after that we were completely mute. So we sat down, had a couple beers, and had some amazing fried chicken. Just kind of talked and got to know each other a little bit. And then we went back to our rooms and tried to go to sleep to sync our try to start to sync our bodies to the time adjustment. But I went back, laid down, and couldn't sleep. I think I slept for about 3 hours the first night. Got up probably around 4:15 a.m. there on Sunday, and looked at my clock. It was 4:15 in the morning. I knew I couldn't do anything at that point, so literally just kind of laid there and tried to go back to sleep. And I think I fought it for 2.5 hours, and got up around 7 o'clock, and went and got a coffee downstairs at this little coffee shop, and went back to my room, showered, got my stuff together, and this was Saturday. The program didn't start till Sunday, so I I cockoed Ashley to find out if there was anything that I could do, because I was kind of on my own that day, or Alyssa and I were on our own that day, and she, thank God, replied back and told me that there was a mall that was 2 subway stops from our guest house, the COEX Mall, which I discovered is the largest underground mall in the world. So I thought, all right, well, that might be a good place to go kill some time. So, again, coming from Ohio, where public transportation is not a thing, and I feel like we just got the internet last week, but I, again, had the idea that, I'll figure out the subway. It's not that hard, but I had no idea what I was in for. So, she told me I had to go get a T-Money card, and, you can go get that at 7-Eleven, and the machines at the subway station, you can change them to English, and you can load your card that way. It'll be really easy. It's 2 stops, and you're there. So found a 7-Eleven, found the T-Money cards were just on the little rolling counter at the checkout, and found a T-Money card, and I asked the girl, of course in English, if she could load the card for me. And of course, it's the first girl that didn't speak English that I ran into, and just kind of just told me no. And so I take my card, I get it on the subway, and try to find a machine or a kiosk where I can load this thing. And I know that they can, compute in English, but I don't know how to turn it to English. I can't read any of the Korean. I think I pressed every combination of buttons I could to try to get English to pop up, and nothing. And at that point, I didn't know what I was going to do. So the light bulb in my head is to, whenever I need to get somewhere here, I Uber it. So I get on Uber, and I get a car, and I drop my location, and it's 7 minutes away, so I go wait for it. But the thing I didn't think about was when an Uber driver comes to pick you up, when they're close, they call you, and I'm waiting for my phone to ring, and I'm waiting to hear a voice on the other end say hello in English, but that didn't happen. So not only did I have issues communicating, but the driver couldn't find me, and I was in this little square parking area with there was an avenue and a street that went around a building. So we kind of chased each other for, I don't know, 2 minutes until I started to walk the other way, and we ran into each other eventually. But had my little book, and a little travel book with the Coet's Mall address in Korean, and flipped to page 57 and showed him the address, and he knew where it was, but I didn't realize that, again, coming from a smaller town, how bad traffic is in a major city. So this Uber drive that was probably, I don't know, a 12-minute walk from our guest house was about a 25-minute Uber drive. So it was an experience, but finally got to COEX, and got down to the underground part of this mall, and it was ginormous. There's like an aquarium. There's every store you can imagine. Just people on people. So I just kind of, again, just wanted to dive right into the culture. So I just started walking around and going in stores, and just like a mall. But did that for a little bit, and then Alyssa, messaged me, and we're going to try to meet up for lunch. And at this point, I don't know. I think I met Alyssa probably around 12:31, and again, it's local time, so Eastern time, it's about midnight. That's what my body feels like. So we meet up. We walk around the mall for a little bit, and then we were going to go get lunch. So we found a restaurant, little Korean barbecue type place, and again, really our first actual authentic kind of Korean meal. It was fantastic, except for that weird cold noodle dish. Ashley, you have to tell me the name of that again, but that was the one dish I think Alyssa and I did not enjoy the entire time we were there. But amazing food. Otherwise, had a couple beers, and again, it's 95 degrees out, humid. So, once we were done with lunch, I don't know, it was about 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. there. So, I'm tired. My body feels like it's 2 a.m. And, I told Alyssa that I need to go take a nap. So we went back to the guest house. I took a shower, laid down, and I don't know, from 3 p.m. to 7:15 p.m., I was just out. Woke back up and texted Alyssa and I said, hey, it's 7:15. Should we get up and do something? And she agreed with me. She's like, yeah, if I don't start moving now, I'm probably going to be sleeping the rest of the night. So, and again, the Welcome Home Program started the next day on Monday. So, we couldn't be completely dead on Sunday. So we got up and we went out and we went to grab a bite, and then we kind of walked around and tried to find some bars. We were in a really cool area with a bunch of bars around. So we walked around, and I think we kind of joked around that we both felt safe with the most American or Western bar we could find, and those are the bars or pubs we tended to go to or gravitate to for some reason. But we found this really cool 3-story bar, which the first floor was a different theme, the second floor was a different theme, and the third floor was a different theme. But the third floor is kind of like an American sports bar in essence, and very interesting how it's almost like a self-service type of thing, set up just like a normal bar here, but along the walls there's big open door coolers that you go and you literally you take your beers yourself, and then when you're done you go and you pay by the bottle. And I think Alyssa and I are both amazed at that process, because that would never work over here. If you tried that anywhere in the States, I feel like there'd be no beer in 5 seconds. It'd be gone, and no one would be paying for anything. So we had a couple beers, we stayed out, kind of walked around, hit up a couple bars, and I had heard about it just from, again, from reading and, watching YouTube, but I didn't realize how big drinking was in South Korea. The bars are packed, and, everybody's out, and everybody's drinking, and I don't think either one of us had experienced soju yet at this point, so we were still looking forward to that, but everybody was definitely out at the bars and moving around. So I think we kind of kept it pretty chill that night, because we knew that we were meeting the next day, Monday morning at 10 a.m. with everybody else to go to the hotel. So we were out, I don't know, until 2 o'clock, like a normal weekend night, and went back. And at this point, my roommate Dylan, what's up, man? He was getting in on Sunday night, but I didn't know when, and my Wi-Fi egg wasn't it was dead, so I didn't have service. But he had messaged me that he was in our room, and I didn't get the message. So I walk into to the guest house. I walk into the room, and I thought my stuff, it wasn't moved, but I thought that like a chair had been pulled out that I thought I'd pushed into the table. So I thought, maybe I drank more than I thought I did, or maybe I just didn't push that chair in. I don't know. So jumped in the shower, went in my room and plugged my phone in and plugged the Wi-Fi egg in. And once I had Wi-Fi, I got this message pop up from Dylan that 5 hours before that he had gotten there and that he was in the room. So I probably woke him up. Sorry, Dill. But I passed right out, set my alarm, and the next morning, Dylan and I had our awkward introduction. He was in the room next to me, but heard him get up and kind of yell out the door, hello, and we had the weird handshake, kind of, that kind of thing, when you meet a bro, and great kid. I think he was the youngest adoptee that was there, and actually from Franklin, Tennessee, right outside of Nashville, where I have some family down there, which is crazy and funny. But we had to get our stuff together and meet down in the lobby of the guest house at 10 o'clock to go to the hotel. And meet all the other adoptees. So I started to get really excited, really anxious, and packed all our stuff. You know, Dylan beat me down in the lobby, but got out of the room and got in the elevator and took the elevator down. And when the door opened up and the bell rang, I look into the lobby and there's 15 people standing right there that I was going to be spending the next 10 days with. Did real quick introductions and loaded up on this bus and took about a 20-25 minute drive to the hotel where we were going to be at for the week. So again, this is Monday. This is really the official kickoff of the program. The Welcome Home Program. So get to the hotel, we check in. Dylan and I, we were roommates, the whole week. So we got to our room 10:06 and go in and standard hotel room, but when you open up the window to look outside, man, it was crazy. You had an amazing view of Seoul, and just and again, to me, to see buildings on buildings with mountains in the back, it was amazing. It was a breathtaking view from just the hotel room. It's something that probably anyone from a big city wouldn't be impressed by, but for me, I could have just sat there and looked out the window. It was crazy. But the program was going to start at 12 o'clock that day. We'd be down in the ballroom for the opening ceremony, and that was when I was going to finally meet Ashley, and we were all going to meet our buddies, and I was finally going to meet Shanae. Brought her some beers from Tom, and I think I brought her a T-shirt that said Ohio on it. But I was getting very excited to finally meet some of the people that were responsible for me getting over there, and going to be responsible for showing me the place that I was born. So Alyssa, Dylan, and I, we get in the elevator, we go down to the 5th floor, and get off the elevator, go to the ballroom area, and we walk in, and there's tables set up. The mayor of Gangham's there. There's the president of SWS is there. Shanae's there. Just some directors, and our buddies are there. And I walk in, and Hee-jung was right there, and she was like, hello, and introduced me to Shanae real quick. I give her a hug for Tom. Gave her gifts, and said, okay, Ashley's over there. And that was when the first time I saw her in real life, and the biggest smile on her face, the most welcoming thing I could see, I could imagine, from her to finally meet her, and just a very welcoming and comforting smile. Just it kind of put me at ease again, for a very kind of nerve-wracking thing. So we sat down, and we waited for this ceremony to start, and Shanae kind of walked us through the program, the history, the purpose of the program, and everything was very well put together. And we ate, and then we kind of got right into it. The first day, we after lunch, we split up into groups of 4, 2 adoptees and 2 buddies, and we went to a foster home, and we all got to kind of go see, and at least for me, what our lives were like for a couple months, for some people a couple of years, and that was straight into it. There was no warm up or prep for that. So we show up to a foster mother's house, and met this little 11-month-old guy named Hana, and just a little meatball, but this kid, he's 11 months old, and next month in November, I think he's getting ready to go over to Sweden. He was adopted by a family in Sweden, but very humbling event to be a part of. This kid, again, it's kind of like me watching my own life from another perspective. This kid has no idea what's happening right now, but this woman that's not his biological mother obviously is raising him, and I don't have kids of my own obviously, but from all my friends and all my buddies that do have kids, I can't imagine this woman. I think Hana was her sixth foster child, but she raises these kids, and probably at the most difficult time to raise a human. When they're infants, they're not sleeping. I'm sure they're just they're a lot to take care of, and he was her fifth or sixth foster child, and that was very a perspective I've never thought about until I was sitting in her house, and how much she cared and genuinely loved each kid that she's raised. She had a photo album for each child that she had fostered in the past, and was showing us photos of them, and has kept in touch with some of their families, the adoptive families, and it's just very very, very surreal, and very again a different perspective that I never even thought of. But visited with her for I don't know, an hour, 2 hours, and kind of saw, like I said, just what my life was like when I was born. Going to an orphanage, going to a foster family, and then ultimately getting adopted. It's just kind of I was following my own timeline, I guess, which was the crazy thing. So after that, we went out to dinner, and kind of a very short day. The next day, we were going to go to Tuesday. We were going to go to an orphanage for kids with disabilities called AMSA, and we kind of just hung out Monday night after dinner, and I think some of the adoptees, we went out to the bar and had a drink or two, and then we had to go back and get up and be ready to go the next day. So Tuesday rolls around, and we get up, and we meet in the lobby. Our buddies are all there, and again, just to kind of give them credit for everything that they do. Again, they're kids, 20 to 23, 24. Just some of the nicest and most organic, genuine people I've met ever. Doing something that when I was their age, I wouldn't have had the ambition or wherewithal to do, or the intellect for that matter. I mean, these kids are bilingual. They're, just awesome individuals, who are volunteering their time, maybe for school, but to take people they've never met from different parts of the world and basically, come up with an itinerary and be big babysitters for us while we were there for 10 days. It was, it was crazy. So we met them in the lobby, and we got on the bus again and went to AMSA. And Tommy was back home, and we were kind of keeping in touch, from a perspective of we were messaging each other, and I kept him up I think the entire time I was there. But we went to AMSA, and that was again a very weird, not weird, it was a very special perspective. It was a different perspective. Again, we're going to an orphanage where the kids there are kids with disabilities. So we go in, and we kind of again got a PowerPoint, an overview of what the organization does, and then we finally got to meet some kids, and every buddy in adoptee pair, so Ashley and I, every team, if you will, we all got matched up with with a kid from AMSA, and I think Ashley and I, we got the most, maybe the class clown or the most rambunctious one, but this kid was awesome, and hung out with them, blew bubbles, and where AMSA is. It's kind of on this historic site, almost like a museum type setting, of the historical part of the town we were in, and we got to go through and see some of the history of Korea, from the very beginning, and it was very cool. And then again, I got to play with the kids, got to blow some bubbles and just hang out, and it was a very fulfilling day in the sense that we got to see again from a different perspective of potentially what life could have been like, and especially for a kid with a disability, having the opportunity to be in a situation that's doesn't put them at a disadvantage. So again, a very humbling trip, and it was too short almost. I wish we could have stayed there a little bit longer, but it was definitely a good stop for us. And again, I think, at least from my perspective, was the trip started literally at this point 36 hours ago, and we're hitting it hard, going into a foster home, and then now this orphanage, and just kind of seeing some of the foundation of some of our lives, all of our lives of the adoptees, and again, from my own personal perspective, it was definitely very humbling and very the start of the emotional roller coaster for me while I was there. So again, that was Tuesday. We went through AMSA. After that, we went to eat. Had some free time, and then we went to a musical called Nanta. It was a kitchen chef themed kind of musical, but it was awesome. We went there as a whole group. After that, we went to dinner, and they kind of eased us into dinner on Monday night. They took us to a New York pizza place, and then on Tuesday after Nanta, they took us to like an American buffet, pretty much a better Golden Corral, I guess. But they kind of eased us into the Korean food by kind of taking us a step at a time in that regard. So after that, we had free time after Nata, and eventually just kind of went back to the hotel because on Wednesday and Thursday we were going to split up into two teams and go to two separate cities outside of Seoul for Wednesday and Thursday. So Tuesday night, again, we got back to the hotel, and I think some of us went out. I think a group of us went bowling, and some of the other people went to the bar, went to grab a drink and hang out. But Wednesday morning, we broke up into groups of 8. So there were 4 adoptees, 4 buddies, and 8 of us were going to go to Myeong, I think, is where one group went. My group went to Jeonju, which was an awesome experience. It was about 2.5 hours from the hotel, but we stayed in this really cool Hanok village with the traditional Korean architecture, and got to dress up in the hanbok, the traditional Korean attire. But doing that when it was, 95, 97 degrees outside was not the most comfortable thing to do. But that was when we really got to kind of get closer as a group. I was over there with the adoptees. Dylan and Jorgen were the guys, and then Yasmin was the girl. So we were the 4 adoptees. And again, to give credit to our buddies, this wasn't a supervised trip. We were there with no one from SWS. It was literally the 8 of us, and we were kind of at the mercy of our buddies. And again, our buddies are these 20 to 23-year-old college kids that, again, have a budget and itinerary for people they don't know, um, in a place that they've never been. But these kids were absolutely amazing. And just from talking to people on the other trip, they said the same thing, that these kids are, more dialed in and pay more attention to detail than we do as adults, because they have to come up with the itinerary, come up with a budget for and a plan for 2 days, and again, to balance that act, and to make it fun and be engaging. I can't imagine how taxing that was for them, but they did an amazing job. Again, we kind of got to dress up. We got to ride on scooters right around this this little village area. We did a rail bike cart up a path. It was it was great. It was a great trip, and all, like I said, it brought us, I think, us the adoptees. I think it brought us closer together from kind of being thrown into a group and not forced to talk to each other, but it kind of expedited the process of us getting to know each other. So it was a great trip. Like I said, we did that Wednesday and Thursday, and Thursday evening we went back to the hotel, and Thursday night we checked back in, and we had free time. So Ashley and I, we kind of we went around, and she took me around the area. Had some free time. We met up with some of the other adoptees, some of the other buddies, and just kind of hung out. And at this point, it's it's Thursday night, and the trip, again, officially the program was it ended Saturday evening. So at this point, it's already kind of winding down. So Friday was completely open for us as a free day. Saturday was it was free up until I think 4 or 5 when we were going to have the closing ceremony. So at this point, I was just kind of just wanted to see as much as I could. But Thursday we hung out. I think we might have gone bowling again that night as a group. And then Friday, Ashley met me, and I made her take me out for dumplings because I wanted dumplings, and took me to this amazing dumpling place, which was impossible to find, but we found it and had a great meal. We went down to the Han River, rode bikes. It was just a gorgeous day. It was a little warm, but just amazing to kind of ride along the river. And again, just for me to see the infrastructure in front of these huge mountains, it was just something that I'm completely not used to. So, we did that. We hung out, and then they have the Namsan Tower, the tallest point in Seoul, being like the Eiffel Tower, the CN Tower, the Sears Tower, the tallest point. So we were going to do that, and went over there, and I saw these cable cars that you take up to the top, and assumed that's what we were going to do. But Ashley likes to punish me for some reason, and we decided that we were going to walk up the steps to the first platform of where you can go up to the actual tower. So I think I lost about 8 pounds on the way up, but it was great. Once we finally got up there, there was a little cultural festival type of thing where guys were in traditional ensembles, and swinging swords around, chopping things up, and ultimately, her and I, we went up to the touring deck of the tower. Once you were up there, you got a 360 view of of Seoul, and from, I don't know, 1,200, 13 feet up in the air, and it was just again another breathtaking view, and perspective, obviously, but just to look down and see this city, and just buildings are on top of buildings, and it was crazy, and you could literally go 360 around the whole viewing area, and it was breathtaking, and just again for me to see it, it's for her, it's this is where she lives, she sees it every day. It, I don't think it was impressive to her, but to me, I was just in awe of not only being there, but to see the city, and just imagine that man, I could have been here, or if one decision could have been would have been made different, who knows what would have happened, and this could be my life right now. So I started to have those more emotional and sentimental type of thoughts, while I was up there. But also while I was up there, Shinhei, she sent me a message, and asked me if I was at the hotel, and I told her no. I was like, we're at the Namsan Tower right now, and she told me, and she's like, I have good news. And as soon as she said that, I had an idea that she was going to tell me that I might have had maybe a meeting pop up on my schedule that I wasn't planning on. And so I asked her what was up, and she told me that my birth father had replied back to the note that Holt is my adoption agency that I went through when I was adopted. He had evidently replied back to the telegram that they sent him that told him I was there and I was looking for him, and he wanted to meet me, and he was going to try to meet me on Sunday, and I was leaving on Monday morning, so it was literally the last day I could have met him. So the program ended on Saturday, and he wanted to meet on Sunday. So Shinhei, she kind of asked me, she's like, is it okay if we ask Ashley if she'll, stay to be, the translator, and, to make sure that I can find the place and get there. And again, this is just, not only to all the buddies, but, specifically to Ashley, this kind of just, again, shows the kind of people that they are. I was like, yeah, I'd love it if, she could be there, and, obviously for emotional and support, and just to be able to again translate and get me there. I was so reliant on her. I needed her to be there, and so Shanae said, well, we're going to ask her if she'll stay another day, and the program ends on Saturday, but we'll see if she can help you out on Sunday. So Shanae asked her, and thank God Ashley said yes. And at that point, that's kind of when for me, a million different thoughts kind of started pouring into my head. Up until this point, I was just kind of taking in everything that I was seeing, everything that I was doing, all the people that I'd met, all the food that I'd eaten, everything up until that point, I was just kind of trying to, soak in and soak up like a sponge. But, now that I got this news that I was going to meet, my biological father, that kind of rocked me, and, kind of got me out of my groove a little bit. And so I had, I don't know, 36 hours, 32 hours to kind of digest, the fact that I was going to meet this guy. So, we kind of finished out Friday, and, we hung out, we met up with some of the other adoptees buddies, and went out to dinner, and went out to a couple bars, and, just kind of, hung out. But, all I could think about really at this point was, my meeting that was going to happen on Sunday. So, Saturday rolled back around, and, that was, like I said, the closing of the program officially. We're going to have our closing ceremony, but that wasn't until the evening. So Saturday morning was kind of, again, free time for us. So Ashley and I, we went out, we went to one of the malls, and I'm sorry, this is when, we went out and, kind of tried to find some stuff to bring home, and, just tried to, again, try to enjoy as much of the trip as I could, as far as from a perspective of, seeing everything that I can. Again, I owe so much thanks to her for, coming up with things to show me, and, taking care of me, and taking me around, and trying to make as much out of the trip as she could, while I was there. I'm just thinking, and again, I have every different thought I can, imaginable while I'm there, but, here's this girl, she's 23, and she's, showing around somebody that she doesn't know, someone that can't speak any of the language there, and, I'm relying on her to come up with an idea, or come up with a place to go. And again, not that I'm pressuring her to do anything, but I can't imagine, if I was 23 and I was responsible to take someone around, or show them around, show someone that came to the States, take care of them for a week. I mean, I think if I was 23 and doing that, we'd be at every bar that there is, and that's all I would be able to show somebody. And she, again, has the intuition, and she has the thought, and the personality, and the heart to show me the things that really matter, and the things I wanted to see. And she take me to the restaurants I want to go to, and it was just and I think again, Ashley specifically, but all the buddies just went completely above and beyond what they were supposed to do. At least that was my takeaway, my perspective. So Saturday again, Saturday we hung out all day. That's when we went down to Han River, rode bikes, and took some photos, and went to ICM Mall, and just kind of hung out, and like I said, went and I picked up some knickknacks to bring home, and again, just the entire time though, all I'm thinking about is the next day, and my encounter. So when I got the note from Holt, the email they sent me was your birth father replied back. He wants to meet you on Sunday. Please be at Holt at 10:30. We're going to walk you through the process of anything you want to know, any information we can fill you in on, and then your birth father will be here at 10:45, and then at 11 o'clock you guys will meet each other. And I mean, that's the gist of it. So it's a lot more simplistic, the way they broke it down in the email, but for it to kind of flew off the page and hit me in the face that that's what was going to happen. So we were just going to enjoy Saturday, and like I said, the closing ceremony was Saturday evening. It was very nice. Became honorary citizens of Gangnam, and just had a very nice closing ceremony with everybody there. Again, the president of the organization, all the directors and leaders of the program were there, and then some of the adoptees were leaving to go home that night. So everything kind of came to an end very, very quickly. As a trip like that tends to do. You're there, and then it's over, just like that. So after dinner, that's when we went bowling, just for one last hurrah as a group of the people that were still there. And I was leaving on Monday. I think like I said, some people started to leave Saturday night. A lot were leaving Sunday, and then like I said, I left Monday. So Saturday night, we hung out, and again, I'm trying to bowl, but all I can think about, I'm starting to get nervous already for the next day. And again, Ashley was nice enough to stick around, and Saturday night after that closing ceremony, she could have clocked out. I mean, her shift was done, and for one reason or another, she was kind enough to stay with me. And again, for me, not being married, not having kids, this was and still is, for me, the biggest day of my life so far. I don't have another one of those monumental events to kind of stack it up against, and for her to be such an integral part of it means a whole lot to me. So again, Ashley, thank you so much. If you ever see this, I can't thank you enough. And again, yeah, I'm just forever indebted to you, because just an absolute crucial part to, again, the biggest day of my life at this point, October 2nd, 2016. Nothing I've experienced comes close to that. So thank you. So Saturday night we hang out, we go bowling. I think I bowled like a 67 that night. I was so nervous about the next day, but Sunday rolls around, and got up for breakfast. Couldn't sleep at all. Got up and went down, got a big old plate of food, and couldn't eat anything. I had a cup of coffee and a glass of water, and wrote a couple thank you notes, and had to get my stuff together to go meet Ashley, but had to check out of the hotel because I was going to be at the guest house for Sunday night because the program was over. So Alyssa was kind enough to take my bags from the hotel to the guest house. So thank you for that. But couldn't eat. So nervous. Like I said, I had a glass of water and a cup of coffee, and I think I peed like 15 times that day. That was all I had to drink. But went and got my stuff together. Checked my luggage down at the desk in the lobby, and then got on the subway and went and met Ashley, and at the stop, and as I'm getting ready to get on the subway, just kind of hit me that man, this is really happening, and this is where I'm going, is to go meet my biological father. And I had my iPod in, and it didn't matter what John Mayer song came on. I couldn't hear it, and my mind was just kind of racing. So I was trying to imagine what the meeting would be like, and I was trying to imagine what he looked like, or everything that I could possibly hypothetically imagine, or create a situation in my head. And just I think that was just making it worse. So I got on the subway, and I went 9 stops, and got out and was gonna meet Ashley. And I think I got there maybe a couple minutes before her, but when I saw her approach me, and at the station, and she's 50 yards away from me, I could see her smile from 50 yards away. But I think as she got closer, she could see I was nervous. So I think maybe she got a little bit nervous too. But I told her, I was like, I need you to be you're supposed to be the optimistic one. I keep telling her that. And but just her being there was very calming for me. And again, I mean, she's never done this. She's never been in this situation before either. And all I can think about is my perspective, but I can't imagine what it's like to be in her shoes and have to go through and do this, and kind of be the spectator, but also the translator. So our conversation was literally going to be channeled through her, which is just that adds a whole other element to everything that that happens. So we get on the subway, and we're on the way, and I think she could probably tell I was nervous, and just we got there, we got to Holt, and and it was Sunday, so Holt wasn't open, but they opened up, specifically for me, and so I can meet my birth father that day. And we got there, I don't know, at 10 o'clock. We weren't supposed to be there till we didn't have to be there till 10:30, so got there kind of early, and went and met the lady from Holt, and she took us to this little conference room, and when you walked in, it's kind of where I did the Facebook live video from. It was this probably 36 square foot white conference room with a table in the middle, and that's kind of where we sat and just kind of waited, and the lady from Holt came in and started kind of walking us through the process of what was going to happen, and he was going to be there at 10:45, and we were going to meet at 11. Was there any questions that I had? And she's the one that kind of told me that. Well, she's the one that told me that he's married now. He and my birth mother aren't together anymore. She's the one that told me that he has a daughter and a son. So I do have a half sister and a half brother, which is crazy. But they don't know anything about me, and that was, again, it was something weird to hear, but definitely understandable. I think his wife knows about me, but it's obviously not a topic at the dinner table, I don't think, in discussion. So, which I understand. But she kind of explained that, and wanted to know if I had any questions or anything like that. And, I kind of described it when I was sitting there. When she asked me if I had any questions, of course, my brain was like the New York Stock Exchange ticker. Just thoughts were just going through my head, and I was just trying to grab whatever I could to think to possibly ask. And I had a million thoughts going through my head, but the one thing I did want to know for sure was if there were any health or genetic things that I should know about, cancer, in the family, what do I need to know about, health-wise? Because if I don't ask now, I might never, get the opportunity to ask that. So that was one of the things that I wanted to, ask for sure. So she kind of, again, like I said, kind of, walked us through the process, and then told us that he was going to be there at 10:45. And Ashley and I, we were there early, so I made her take me to Starbucks so I get a coffee. Not that I needed any additional caffeine or to be any more nervous or to have to pee anymore, but went and got a coffee. I had to lie to Ashley. I told her I had to get some mints, but I had to get her a gift card or something. I had to give her something for taking care of me and putting up with me for a week. So was able to sneak that into the transaction, but got our coffees and came back to Holt, and went back and sat in our spots in the room, and we were just kind of there, and Ashley and I were kind of talking, and again, I probably was not responsive at all because I had a million things in my head, and the girl from Holt came in and told us he's going to be here at 10:45. Do you have any other questions? Anything you want to know? Anything you want to ask? And I didn't. I was just going to kind of take it as it comes and see what happens. So 10:45, she gets up and closes the door behind her to our room, and we hear the door on the other side of the wall open up, and hear her voices, and Ashley could hear somebody on the other side, but couldn't make out anything that they were saying, but could definitely tell that he was over there. So that was when I really started to get anxious. It was at that point where you needed like the countdown clock in the corner of the room, just counting down, when the buzzer's going to go off. But 11 o'clock rolls around, we hear a knock on our door, and the girl from Holt opens up, and are you ready to do this? And I was as ready as I'll ever be, and let her and Ashley walk through, and you know, she literally took us right around the corner, and the door next to us, she cracks it open. Her and Ashley walk in, and then, the memory that I'm gonna have burn in my memory forever is, I walk into the room, and there he is sitting at the table. He's sitting down, he's looking up at me, and I walk over, I stick my hand out, shake his hand, and he gets up, and we do the awkward, the ass out hug that Vince Vaughn talked about in Wedding Crashers. You don't know what to do, but at that point, after shaking his hand and giving him, just a hug, it's very weird to see him, to feel him, and it was weird, and it was like meeting a stranger. For me, it was, I don't know, like going on 90% of the dates that I go on. It was very, very awkward, and so we shake hands, and obviously, I knew how to say hello, and Dad. Ashley taught me how to say Dad like a half hour before I met him, so I was saying Appa in my head like 5,000 times before I walked into that room, and I was lucky I was able to remember how to say it. But shake his hand, give him a hug, and then I go sit down across the table from him, and I sit down, and Ashley's to my left, the girl from Holt is the other end of the table, and then my biological father's sitting across from me, and I sit down and kind of look at each other, and I think we probably just sat there for 4 or 5 seconds, but it felt like we were staring at each other for 2 years, and finally I think the gal from Holt kind of broke the ice and said something, and then again, because he doesn't speak any English and I don't speak any Korean, everything that one of us had to say had to be translated, so, and again, I just can't imagine, it wasn't until then where Ashley's doing all this legwork to just have a simple conversation, between us. I can't imagine how mentally exhausting or taxing that is for her to literally have to have the same conversation twice and say it in 2 different languages, and wait for someone to say something and then say it back, and I can't imagine. So I think at first the questions were very general, generic, but I remember the first thing he said was that he thought I was handsome, and he could tell I was healthy, and he's happy that I look like I'm healthy and that I'm well, at least from the first time we physically met. So like I said, I was kind of prepped on how he's married and he has children and things like that, but we kind of I asked him about the health and genetic thing, and he said on his side there's no knock on wood, there's no no diseases or anything like that genetically would be potentially hazardous or passed down. So that was good to hear, but he did say, and Ashley even kind of laughed when she was translating for me, because she said she wasn't sure if the translation was meant to be, but he said my birth mother was obese, and he kind of went through the process of how I came into the picture. I think he's 55 now, so he had me when he was relatively young, and me being 31 now, you can imagine having a kid when I was 23 or 24 years old. That's just crazy, but it can be done. But he and my birth mother, they worked together in a factory, and they went out one night, and they I don't know if they had a couple drinks or what, but they went out one night and had a relation, and all of a sudden I was composed, and with it being 1984, they don't have an iPhone where they can just text each other, but he said that's where it came into the obese thing was, he said that she was obese, so she didn't know she was pregnant till maybe a month or, however long into the pregnancy. And, I think that's still a thing even now. But by the time that she found out she was pregnant, he didn't work at the same factory as her, so they didn't stay in touch. He didn't know she was pregnant, neither did she. And then, by the time she found out, he was already, at another factory, and I think probably even dating the gal that he's married to now. So, he didn't know that I was, there. And, again, this is 31, 32 years ago, and probably the stigma that you have if you're a single mother, even unfortunately now, I think that's still a thing. He said that if it would have been that he would have known, maybe things could have worked out differently, but things happened the way they did, and she ultimately decided to go through this foster orphanage, foster family option. And of course I've thought about it, just from growing older and seeing, being able to come up with different scenarios in my head. But it's really crazy that just one decision, if one decision would have been made different back then, I possibly couldn't be sitting here. I mean, gosh, I could have been in a trash can, or some other alternative route could have been taken, and just one decision that would have been made different could have completely transitioned my life into a completely different life. So it's just that's just something that's very crazy for me to think about. And I'm so blessed and lucky that I am where I am, and I have the family that I have the friends that I have, and that this video is, I'm talking to the people I'm talking to because that decision was made that day. And that's just it's very crazy. And that was part of the initial idea of me going over there, was I was going to be more appreciative of, and look at things through a different, lens, and, have different appreciation. And that was definitely one of the things that, came in my mind is, wow, this could have all been completely different if she would have made one decision differently, and, I could be somewhere else, or I could not be at all, which is crazy. So that was kind of his very quick and brief summarization of how he and her had me, and obviously they didn't stay in touch, but again, she kind of said she was she's a very nice lady. It just obviously didn't work out with them, and obviously he's married now, again, very happily married. He and my birth mother don't stay in touch. He hasn't talked to her, but that's what happens. I get that. So I think he kind of filled me in on as much as he could from what he could share about her to me. So obviously everything else would come from meeting her, but that's down the road too. So other than that, I showed him pictures of my family, and I think I asked him if he had ever been to the U.S., and he hasn't. He really hasn't been outside of Seoul. He said he's been to China, maybe I think once or twice, he said. But I think for him, and maybe people that haven't gotten out of, it'd be like staying in Dayton, Ohio for my entire life and not really having an idea of what else is out there. I think someone like him, again, being 55, and not being ever coming to the States or anything like that, I think he has this, and again, this is my thought, he has this very broad view of what the U.S. is. He has the very generic view of it's Hollywood, it's New York City, and everything in between is it's that. It's just that. So he just kept saying, he kept reiterating that he was so happy that I was in the U.S. and I have a happy life, and he's so happy that I have a family that loves me, and that was very touching to hear. So I just he just kept reiterating that. So it was very nice of him to say. So we kind of went back and forth at the table. And again, very, very choppy, discordant conversation because it had to be translated twice. Just very, very rough, almost awkward type of conversation. Yeah, it reminded me of half my dates again. Just how can we possibly catch up on 31 years? Just once we sit down at this table, it's that's you can't. So we sat there at the table, and we kind of checked off some of the questions that I had, and just kind of again showed photos of family and things like that. But then he wanted to take me and Ashley, and even the gal from Holt wanted to go to lunch. So went to a little Korean barbecue that was close to the office, and there we kind of sat down. He and we sat down on the same side of the table, and Ashley was across from me, and she was across from him, and it was louder in there, and there's meat being fried in front of you, and the waitress was coming over and constantly reaching over you, and he was cooking and frying the meat, so it was just very hard to have a conversation there. So we did, but he would yell across the table, and Ashley would yell the translation back to me, and just we would fire stuff back and forth across the table. So it wasn't a very good way to have a conversation. But we ate lunch. He force fed me a lettuce wrap of meat and vegetables, which was amazing. I'll put that video up here eventually too. But had a great lunch, and then we decided we could go to a coffee shop, and there obviously it was a little more quiet. We were able to have a little bit more of a conversation. I think kind of the nerves kind of settled a little bit there at that point. That we'd been together for a couple hours at that point. So we found out that he likes hiking. He goes hiking every weekend, and he likes to drink beer, which was good because when I found out that I was meeting him, I had to come up with a gift to bring him. And at this point, everything was closed at night, and Ashley and I, we were scrambling to find a gift, and we finally thought about getting just a bottle of wine. And Ashley and I, we went to this wine shop and got a bottle of wine, got a bottle of Cab, and at that point, where I'm just like, God, I hope this guy drinks. But he told us at the coffee shop that he drinks a beer every night, and he drinks with his buddies, so it was all good. But that he likes to hike too, and he hikes every weekend because he still works in a factory, and he works all day, every day, and I think even kind of alluded to the fact that he's glad that I'm in the States and I have the life that I have, because I don't think he's not poor, but he's not, I don't think he's as well off as as I am blessed here. He just I think he knows that, and again, I think he's just appreciative that I have the life that I have here, and he didn't even have to. I didn't have to show him any W-2s or anything like that, but I think he understands that I have a better situation here than if I would have stayed potentially over there. But so he hikes on the weekend, and then so I think we kind of got that in our head, and again, Ashley's there and cataloging everything that's going on. So she again came up with the idea that after we left the coffee shop, and the girl from Holt had to go back to work, and she wasn't even supposed to be at work that day, but she had to go back. Ashley, my biological father, and I, we were going to go down to the the area around the World Cup Stadium in Seoul. There was this cool green area, just a big uh, like a park or reserve type of area that was up above the city and kind of looked down on the city, and again, it was right by the World Cup Stadium. So she decided that that was something we could do. He likes to hike, and so does she, and I like to sweat, and it was just going to be the best thing for all three of us. So we finished our coffee and we said goodbye, and to the girl at Holt, and thanked her for setting us up and basically making it possible for us to connect, that day. And so she went back to the office, and Ashley and myself and my birth father, we got on the subway, and we went down towards the World Cup Stadium, and walked around, and got up to, like I said, the natural, the reserve part of this area, the park area, and climbed up some steps again. Not quite as many as the Namsan Tower, but a fair amount of steps, and it was a very cool. Again, just me in the middle of all this city and building and concrete. There's just this huge green area that again was above everything and kind of looked down on the city, and got an amazing view perspective of Seoul, and got to see again. I'm looking down and I see the World Cup Stadium. I see all these buildings, and behind it are mountains, and then on the other side of these mountains it's North Korea, and for that's a whole other story. But the fact that one of the craziest places on earth is literally on the other side of these mountains that are seemingly within earshot and just in the distance. I'm like, holy crap! But I think and Ashley even mentioned that I think that Americans specifically would probably blow it out of proportion, as far as the North Koreans, and anytime there's any sort of missile testing or anything that goes on, we hear about it. It's it's an event, but it's definitely newsworthy here, and over there it's just, again, it's so normal and so quotidian that people just go about their life, and they know that North Korea is there, and that doesn't stop them from doing what they need to do. So it's just very crazy to look down on this humongous city with all these people and all these huge businesses and money, and then on the other side of this mountain is one of the craziest people on earth, and just a country that's run to the ground, and people that have no voice, or just a completely different world than what is literally right in front of you. It was just the whole trip was perspectives, and that was definitely one that kind of just again hit me right in the face while I was there. So we got up on this in this park area, and Ashley, thank God, would walk in between us, so we kind of obviously channel our conversation through her. And I think that there was a lot of times where there was a longer silence than what was comfortable for any of us. So Ashley would do what she could to stop us and have us take a photo, or say something in Korean, and he could say something back, and then she could fill me in, or vice versa, just to keep the conversation rolling. So we were up there, we walked around, we took some photos, we hung out, and then he said that he wanted to go get a beer with me. So Ashley took us to an area that her and her friends go out to, and we went up to, I don't know, it was like an Irish bar type of setting, and we walk in, and it just started raining when we got there, so we're getting wet on the way there. But we get to the bar, and we sit at a little round table, and again I sit down. He sits down across from me, and Ashley's to the left, right in between us. And as soon as we sat down, the first thing that I could think of was when she has to use the restroom or get up, from the table. That was, for some reason, that was my first thought when we sat down. So we sit down, we order our drinks, we ordered, an appetizer. We're just kind of sitting there and again shooting stuff back and forth, conversation to Ashley, and she's again just absorbing it and spitting it back out in a different language to the other one, and just the response, translating it and spitting it back out in another. It just it blew my mind. It was crazy. So we're sitting there, we're drinking, we're having a good time, we're talking, and then she has to use the restroom, and she gets up, and again, this is the moment I'm waiting for, because when she leaves, we're mute, we can't say anything. So she gets up, and she was in the restroom for 3 minutes, but it felt like she was gone for a year. And when she first got up, it was, again, I hate to keep using the date analogy, but we are mute, and it was, she gets up, and we just kind of look at each other, and I get on my phone, and get on my phone. He kind of looks out over the balcony, and we finally come back to the table, or we kind of we look at each other, and we can't say anything, so we just kind of stare at each other, and we smile, and that was kind of all we had to say. We just smiled at each other, and that kind of broke the awkward silence. No words were spoken still, but just the smile was all we had to say. So she comes back to the table. We just we had another beer, and I think we just kind of we're talking, and then he had to work the next day. It's Sunday. I had to leave the next morning, so he wanted to come back to the guest house with me, and I didn't realize that he was traveling an hour out of his way. So, and Ashley also had to travel to to the guest house as well. So we got on the subway. We get back to the the guest house, my room, and we're there for I don't know 15, 20 minutes. Just he tried to turn the air on for me, and we just kind of chatted for a little bit, and then he had to go back to the subway, and he had to go to work the next day. He had to get home. So we walked into the subway, and that was kind of when it was really kind of hitting me that this was all this is where it all kind of comes to an end, the culmination of the trip. So we get to the subway stop, and we're on the sidewalk, and the escalator's right there, and kind of hug goodbye, and I got each other's username on Kako Talk and have a little group message going, but Ashley has to translate everything that is said, so it's not rolling right now, but we definitely have each other's contact information. Change that, and he thanked Ashley, and again, I have to thank her too for being there, and being such a crucial part of that day. And then we said goodbye, he and I, and he said that he can finally go to sleep at night, knowing that he finally got to meet me, and it was kind of, for me, I told him I could kind of close a chapter of my life, that I finally got to have this this event, which I never thought I would, and I finally got to to meet him. So very very sentimental stuff, and again, just from me trying to step out of the situation and put myself maybe in Ashley's shoes too. She has to, again, she's translating all of this, and we're he's saying stuff, and we're saying stuff that's sentimental, and I'm a guy, and I'm an emotional guy, but maybe a girl's a little bit more emotional, but for her to hear some of the things and have to hear them and then have to say them to the other person on their behalf, I don't know if I could do that. And he said he loved me, and he's happy to see me, and again, he could sleep at night knowing that he got to meet me, and I told him I loved him too, and he told me that if I was ever in Korea on a more permanent basis, that hopefully I could meet his wife and meet my half sister and half brother, and it just didn't make a whole lot of sense for them to be brought into this when I'm only there for with him for 10 hours, and it just didn't make a whole lot of sense. So, like I said, we exchanged contact information, and then it was kind of like, all right, well, time's up. What do we do now? So we hugged each other goodbye, and and again, so the first memory or vision that's burned into my head is walking in that room and seeing him sit at the table. And the next one is when he gets on that escalator to go down, into the subway. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like the scene in the old movies when the girl's on the train and her boyfriend's running after the train, and he just she pulls away, and you can't keep up with the train, and so he gets on the escalator and it's going down, and he turns around and he waves goodbye, and I just watch him descend into the subway, and then we're waving goodbye, and then I can't see him anymore, and it's crazy because that's how that's how it ends. He's gone, and at that point, again, I have all these emotions running through my head. I had them all day, and probably at that point is when I could have gotten emotional. I probably could have cried at that point, but I wasn't gonna. We're in the middle of Gangnam. There's like 2,000 people on the sidewalk. I wasn't gonna do it in the middle of everything, but I definitely could have. But I think Ashley was even didn't know what to do. So at this point, I don't know. It's like 10 o'clock, 10:30 p.m. and we were like, oh, let's just go get some food. So we went to another little barbecue place, and her and I we had a great dinner, and had a couple bottles of soju, which kind of took some of the nerves off too. But ultimately it was Sunday night, and I was leaving the next morning. My flight was at 10:20. I was an hour from the airport, international flight, so I had to be at the airport by 7:15, 7:30, so I could make sure I didn't miss my flight. And I was an hour from the airport, so I had to be at the bus stop by 6 o'clock. And Ashley made sure I knew where I was going. We mapped out my steps, and she walked me to the stop and showed me the sign, and bus 6020, not this one, this is the stop. Very, very good for me, because I would have been, I don't know, I'd be in North Korea by now if she didn't show me where the stops were. But so she was, I was leaving the next day, and I didn't think about it till after I got home. That day, so I meet my birth father, we hang out all day, and then I say goodbye to him that night. But I'm also saying goodbye to Ashley that night too. So the two most, not that everyone was important on that trip, but the two most crucial people on that trip, I have to say goodbye to within 3 hours of each other. So again, from an emotional standpoint, it was kind of like, the ultimate culmination of that trip was, I said goodbye to my birth father, and now I'm saying goodbye to Ashley. So, and she lived, an hour from my guest house, and I kept her out so late that the subway stopped Sunday night. So her parents had to come drive all the way out to pick her up, which I feel horrible for. But we walked back to my room, and kind of hung out there for 20 minutes, and then her parents came to pick her up, and obviously because she filled them in on the trip, and they knew about my day, that they knew about the plans that day. They kind of wanted to meet me, and I wanted to meet them as well. So I walked her downstairs, and we walked outside, and her parents pulled up, and we walk up to the car, and her parents get, her mom gets out, and little thing like this big gets out of the car, and she comes up and said hello. I think I don't even know if I said hello correct, probably not. But gave her a hug, and her dad got out of the car, shook my hand, and they were very, very nice. You could definitely tell just from, I met them for 15, 20 minutes, and I could tell right away that I could see where she got her, how caring and how organic, and you see that she was raised right. You can see that she got everything that her parents, they raised her the right way. You can just tell just from meeting them and the way that she acted. It's a very, maybe it's a cultural thing. I think maybe it's part of it, but you just tell from meeting her parents that they raised her to do the right thing, and it's just they should be very proud. I'm sure they are, but they should be very proud of the way that she turned out. So they asked me about the day, and said if I ever was back in South Korea that they would love to host me. Maybe they were just saying that, but it's very nice. Her dad asked me if I knew where I was going in the morning, and making sure I knew how to get to the bus stop and get to the airport. And was going to make sure I was on time. Again, they weren't trying to be insulting. I think they knew it was difficult, and I'm glad they did. But they were just very, very caring, and you could tell that again that's where she got it from. Firsthand from her parents. So shook her dad's hand, hugged her mom, hugged Ashley goodbye, and then like I said, 2.5, 3 hours before this, I was saying goodbye to my birth father, and now I'm saying goodbye to this girl that I had spent the last 9 days with, and I watch her get in the car, and I turn around and start walking to the guest house, and I turn back around, and the car's pulling away, and it's just like I'm going into my room, and I'm gonna try to go to sleep and wake up in 6 hours and go home. So I go back in, and I FaceTime my parents, because it's, I don't know, midnight here, so it's noon in the States back home. So FaceTime my parents, and talking to my dad, and just kind of telling him about the day, and because he knew I was meeting, they knew I was meeting my birth father that day, but just kind of walk him through the what happened, and a lot less time than it's taking me to get here. An hour and 48 minutes. I can see the clock, but just kind of talk to about what we did that day, and my parents, where they live in Brookville, it's horrible spotty Wi-Fi, so the screen went black and I couldn't hear anything, so I thought it was a connection. I thought it was the internet connection, and then I could hear some sniffling, and my dad that I really have never seen frequently get emotional or anything like that. He had put the tablet down because he was getting emotional, and he just kind of told me that he wished that he could have told my birth father thank you for sending me to them, and very touching and emotional kind of things. There's feelings not only for me being there, but there's feelings for my family too. Just kind of how it worked out. The prayers had been answered for them, and he just wanted to kind of wish he could have thanked my birth father, and or at least got to have some, I guess, communication with him too, right? So he's I was talking to my dad, and made sure everything was okay. Like I said, I thought we lost connection because the screen was black, but he just had to put the tablet down, and told me he's going to give the tablet to mom. And usually she's the emotional one of the two, so he walks the tablet into her room and hands it over to her, and She looks at it. She says, "Yeah, your dad had to give me the tablet because he's crying right now." So just a complete role reversal, but kind of told my mom what happened, and walked her through, and told her I was getting ready to go to bed because I had to be up in a couple of hours to go to the airport so I could come home. So um, just the fact that I had their support was very it definitely helped me to not only the obvious support I had from Ashley and the other adoptees and just everyone from the program in general, but the fact that I had the support from not only my parents but my entire family here and friends here as well too, definitely helped me. So hung up with mom and um, packed up my stuff, tried to charge my phone and set my alarm for, at this point it was like 4 hours I had to get up and tried to go to bed and couldn't. So I just I laid there and um, rolled around and eventually got up and um, you know put up a photo of that Ashley took of my birth father and I that day, and um, just kind of I was tired. I just couldn't go to sleep, and put up a very brief and very vague summarization of just the initial meeting, and I had to put something up because it was posting something I couldn't go a day without doing. So did that, and got my stuff together, and went to go try to retrace my steps that Ashley taught me to find the bus, to get on the right bus to go to the airport. And 6:15, I was up before my alarm went off, and got down to the bus stop, and got on the bus and got to the airport. Was able to fly right through customs and get at my gate probably an hour before my flight. So that was finally when I was able to kind of digest everything, and kind of everything kind of slowed down a little bit for me. There was the fact that here I am getting ready to get on this plane back, coming back home. I wasn't homesick, but I was ready to get be back, and just it was crazy that 10 days had already gone by so quick at that point. And here I am getting ready to get on this plane and come back home, and obviously couldn't wait to tell the story, but I waited 4 weeks to do it for a lot of people. But got home and got to Detroit, and had a nice little layover there, and came back Monday afternoon, and went to work, and was jet lagged, was tired, everything like that, and then found out that I was getting laid off from my job that week. So just for another vlog, another life changing event, all within 60 hours of being here, going to here. Just a lot of emotions. Definitely an emotional roller coaster for sure. And that week, just kind of I got brought back to earth very, very quick, and had a lot of other things to think about very quickly after I got back. So ended up getting another role pretty quickly, thank God. But also was given the idea of potentially going back to Seoul, and because I want to go back. I was over there for 10 days. I felt like I saw this much of it. I saw like 2% of it. It was a very fulfilling trip, and everything that I saw and the people I met, and I checked off a lot of boxes while I was there, but it was very fulfilling in that regard. But it was also, it just made me want to go back even more. There was even more of a void. There's even more I want to see now. So with everything that happened, when I got back, and losing my job, and what have you, I the idea of, I want to go back. Maybe one of the ways I can go back potentially is on a longer term stay, and maybe I could teach English over there. So that's become a very recent focus for me. Had a couple Skype interviews with a couple different recruiting agencies over in Seoul to teach English over there. I've been bugging Matt Reynolds again about advice, and some of my friends here that are teachers, Ashley, you know, Linda Stover. But yeah, just kind of reaching out to people that have the education piece that I definitely don't. I never thought about doing this until I got back, and obviously don't have an education background or barely articulate in English as it is, but this might be one of the ways I can get back to Seoul sooner, and it might be a way that I can, just be able to have a whole different experience, and do it on my own terms, I guess. So that is kind of where I'm at right now in my life. Like I said, this trip was life changing, and then, like I said, there's some additional pieces, just recently that kind of shook me up a bit, and not super religious person, but maybe God is doing things, and things are happening at specific times for a certain reason, and maybe this opportunity is meant to be. So I'm definitely not going to fight it. I'm kind of pursuing it. I'm pursuing it right now. See what's going to happen. But that's kind of a very brief, for 2 hours, is a very brief summarization of my trip. There's plenty more detail that I left out in the 2 hours that I recorded on here, but this is kind of the same summarization I gave the people that I've gotten to talk to so far. And again, Dewey suggested maybe doing this not only to share, but to keep for myself, just so I can have it for future reference. Not that I'm ever going to forget anything, but I can definitely have this for my own use, and just to keep as a memento of my trip. But hopefully I can talk to more people that actually want to hear about it, or I'll try not to regurgitate the exact same story, but there's definitely a lot more of the story than I could fit onto here. But that was kind of a brief overview. Again, brief of 2 hours. Still trying to come up with my Cliff's Notes version, or more succinct way of telling the story, but kind of wanted to hit on all the main points, and just from, again, the support that I got from not only the people that I was on the trip with, but family and friends, and even acquaintances that I don't talk to as much anymore, that kind of followed along because I bombarded them on social media, and they probably couldn't avoid it. I was probably posting too much that they couldn't even click by it without seeing another one of my posts, but just wanted to kind of, like I said, close the circle there as far as where I was on my trip. So if I do another one of these, I don't even know if I have the memory for 2 more hours of video recording on my computer or on my phone. So it'll definitely have to be more succinct than this. So hopefully I can enlighten you more. Maybe encourage someone else that's curious about if they have a similar type of story upbringing, that I kind of have like a Disney type of story right now because of how everything happened. So just gonna see what happens with the teaching thing, and maybe I could potentially be doing another one of these from Seoul here soon. So hopefully sooner than later. So that is it. I'm going to try to stop this before 2 hours is up. I have 20 seconds. So thank you very much for even watching still, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.